Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night loving kindness class here at the Dharma Bum Temple. It's wonderful to be here with you tonight. My name is Alex, for those of you who don't know. If you are new to the Dharma Bum Temple online class or new to the loving kindness online class, say hi. There's a chat box there, either down below or up to the right, depending on what you're looking at this on. And just say hi. I would love to hear from you. You know, I can't see you. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're feeling. And I could usually get some sort of gauge on that when there's actually people here and I can look at you and I can see you and I can kind of sense the vibe in the room. But I can't do that online. I'm not that good. But so if you want to say hi, please say hi. Whether you're new or not, I'd love to hear from you. It was a hot one today, right? Oh my God. Even Temple goes just like, hey, I'm going next door for this air conditioning. But he'll be back tonight. All right. So did anybody say hello, Travis? We're having technical difficulties.
Yes. Jeremy said, hi, Alex. Good to see you.
Hi, Jeremy. Good to see you too, my friend. All right. So the word we talk about, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about just kind of this word that we were talking about, metta, and this, word metta, loving kindness, wonderful word, comes from the ancient Pali language, and it's the first of the 4 heart practices in Buddhism. And it's probably the most important one, at least the most important one to get right. And so and to get this right, I guess you could say, and I kind of hate to use those terms because they kind of have this kind of perfectionist undertone to them, and I don't mean that. But to really fully embody, maybe that's a better way to put this, loving kindness, metta, unconditional friendliness and goodwill, is to have this feeling or to experience this feeling for ourselves, and to have love for ourselves and to have loving kindness for ourselves. And that seems to be, relatively difficult in this particular culture that we live in, because we're not taught that. We're taught that it's selfish and that it's wrong. And only in probably the last maybe 10 years have we finally said, oh no, this is actually right. This is what we should have, and we should have, self-care and loving kindness for ourselves and self-love and self-compassion. There's a lot of these terms that you're hearing lately, especially self-love and self-compassion. And both of those are really very important. And they're really very important because if you don't have that experience in your own heart, if you don't know what that feels like, and this is an experiential practice, Buddhism is, it's experiential. If you don't have that experience of loving kindness in your own heart, how can you then really fully give this away to other people? How can you really have loving kindness for another human being if you don't have that experience in your own heart? And this is the thing that gives us a lot of problems, all right? It's like, it makes us shudder, and it makes us kind of push away, and it makes us say, ooh, I don't know about that. And so it's just all this conditioning we have to overcome. And that's okay if you have these feelings like, oh, if you're raising your eyebrows like I'm doing, like, oh, I don't know, this seems pretty hard. It is, because of just kind of how we're trained generally in the West, whether it's in this country or another country. Oh, if you're from another country, say hi and let me know where you're from. If you're from a city other than San Diego, or other than in San Diego County, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I don't know how far and wide this reaches, so I'm always quite curious about that. And so for that reason, because loving kindness and having loving kindness for ourselves seems to be such a challenge, we do this practice in a little bit of a different way. We get into it gradually, right? It's like a gradual kind of loving kindness. We say, okay, well, I can have loving kindness for someone else, so let me do that first. Just because that's easy and that's something that I know. And, whether you feel it or not, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You'll just do this for another person. What we call in Buddhism our benefactor. And then the second part of this is like, well, okay, so let's gently try to kind of turn this around on myself, because I know that loving kindness for oneself is the most important kind of loving kindness. And so we're going to imagine that our benefactor will be doing this practice for us. So we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us, and maybe we can even put our hand over our heart when we do that, and listen for our heart's response. And as I put my hand over my heart, I'm like a heater. I don't know, my body's all hot. That's okay. Maybe it's just all my loving kindness. Could be. And so we're going to listen for our heart's response to, imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. Right? And so those first two steps are really going to lead us into then having loving kindness for ourselves and doing this practice for ourselves. And when you do this practice, there are a couple of different ways you can do it. You can repeat phrases over and over that I'm going to kind of give you. Or you could just imagine yourself radiating loving kindness out to this person, or imagine it coming into you. So you have a choice, which is great. Traditionally I was taught that just do the phrases. But the phrases seem like really rote and meaningless, and I didn't understand. It didn't penetrate my heart at all, mostly because it had a lot of self-hatred. But I figured there needs to be another way to do this, and so there is. So, but you can also, as it says in the Metta Sutra, the Buddha's instructions on loving kindness, radiating kindness to the entire world. He says, just radiating kindness to the entire world. So that another way you can do this practice is to just radiate. I just radiate. And you can do that in any way that you want. You can imagine a beam of loving kindness flowing from your heart to its target or targets. And this beam can be any color. It can be vibrating. It can be warm. It can be cool. It can be pulsing. It can, however it's going to be most meaningful for you. And, when talking about loving kindness, it's really all encompassing, because metta means so many different things. It's not just unconditional friendliness and goodwill and loving kindness. It's also just a wish to be happy. And not only that, it's a wish for others to do the things that cause happiness. So what things cause happiness? Well, simply put, it's our positive thoughts, words, and deeds. The motto of the Dharma Temple is think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And that's really interesting because, it's that specific phrase actually comes from, the earliest reference that I know of is Zoroastrianism. And Zoroastrianism is the oldest monotheistic religion in the world. And it's a fascinating religion because, God in their eyes had no gender. God was genderless. And it was just kind of a very interesting and kind of wonderful religion that's still practiced. And so that was their motto. And so we can kind of adopt it here because it applies here as well. It's very ancient wisdom. It predates like Buddhism and Christianity and Judaism and even Judaism, which is really old. So I just thought that was really interesting. So that's kind of where that's the earliest reference where I heard that specific phrase. And so yeah, it's a wish for others to do the things that cause happiness. It's a wish for ourselves to do the things that cause happiness, right? Because we know what causes happiness, and I just told you. And you don't even have to believe me that that's the way that causes happiness. You can test it out for yourself. You can test out whether, being kind and thinking kind thoughts and speaking kind words produces positive mind states or not. And then you can test it out with the negative as well. And what kind of mind states do those things produce? And that's the great thing about an experiential practice. You have things to practice. And that's what we call it, a practice, right? We have lots of practices of Buddhism. And, these practices simply serve as like a karmic trainer. Because that's what these, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds do. They're training us in karma, right? They're training us to understand karma, at least the basics of karma, that our positive words, actions, and thoughts produce positive mind states, and the opposite produce negative mind states. And as we learn a little bit more about karma and that it actually works, it produces wisdom. And wisdom is the first step on the Noble Eightfold Path, which is right view, right? And or right understanding. And that's one part of the wisdom component, along with right intention. Our intentions are. So our well-intentioned, maybe I'll say it like this, our well-intentioned words, thoughts, and actions. Those cause happiness. Right? And when you have more wisdom, you know better. Right? When you have more wisdom, you know better. And what happens when you know better? The old adage goes, when you know better, you do better. And that's right. It sounds, when you hear it, when you know better, you do better, it sounds kind of hokey and kind of kitschy and like, oh, that's just a little, just kind of soundbite of spirituality. But there's a lot of truth to that. When you know better, when you grow in wisdom, you see how these positive words, thoughts, and actions make you feel better, not worse. So you're more likely to do those, and that's what all of these practices do. And that's certainly what this practice of loving kindness does. All right. So guys, let's get into our meditation. But before we do that, any questions, any comments?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. That's okay. If you have a question, you can type it in the chat box now, or you can wait till after the meditation is over. That's fine. Always love to hear what you're thinking. What's going on with you? Okay. So it doesn't seem like there's anybody new today, so I'm going to skip the seated instructions and things like that. Let's just get right into the meditation, shall we? So just allow your eyes to close, making sure that you have that seated position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable, steady. And when we sit like a Buddha. You can even imagine yourself as a Buddha sitting underneath the Bodhi tree of enlightenment, ready for The days abiding, as they say in the sutras. So let's just begin to pay a gentle attention to the breath. At first, let's take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing the breath, letting it be quite easy and quite natural. Again, placing your attention at the base of the nostrils here, feeling the air go in and out as you breathe. If you have a thought that arises, you can just use this technique called labeling. So a thought arises and you say, thinking, and come back to the breath. Just that act of saying thinking will snap the mind back to the present moment. Whether it's for a second or half a second or 10 seconds or more. This is how we train our mind. We train our mind, we continuously say thinking, thinking, continuously on guard, alert, ardent, upright. So it doesn't matter how many times our mind gets lost in thought. Each time, it's simply thinking and come back to the breath. And so to begin our practice of loving kindness, we're going to start with our benefactor. And the benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. So when it's easy to have these feelings for you, just think of this person and you could start to smile. That's how much they've meant to you. It could be one person, it could be multiple people, they could be living, they could be not living. Just someone who makes your heart get bigger. And you can either repeat the phrases, may you be happy, may you be safe from inner and outer danger, may you be well in body and mind, may you be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or you can just repeat, may I be happy the whole time, that's fine. Or you can just do the radiating that we talked about earlier. Either one of those is fine. Don't struggle with a decision. Just do what's comfortable for your benefactor. We'll do this for the next few moments. And so shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for a benefactor to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And you can imagine them smiling down on you, picture them in your mind, they're smiling at you, They've meant so much for you. You know they've meant so much to you, which means that they must care for you, love you, wish you well. And so you can just imagine them either radiating loving kindness to you, smiling, or repeating the phrases for you. May you be happy, say your name. May you be safe, and all the other phrases. And listening for your heart's response here. And you can do so if you want, with your hand over your heart, seeing if there's any resistance. If there is, it's okay. That's normal. Can you breathe into that resistance? Maybe loosening it just a little bit. Letting more of that loving kindness from your benefactor into your heart. And we'll do this for the next few moments. So remember to smile. And now we can begin to do this practice for us. But first, let's just acknowledge our own wish to be happy, our own wish to be safe, healthy, free from harm, and have the realization that this is the same wish that we all have, that every person has for themselves. So we all share this common wish. So that we can freely give this to others. To do this, we should be able to experience in our own heart what this metta, loving kindness, feels like. And so gently, if you want to put your hand over your heart, you can. Gently repeat these phrases, or just this one phrase, may I be happy, to yourself. May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Recognizing that this is the most important part of our practice, the most beneficial for us. Listening for any resistance and breathing into it when you can. Putting that smile on your face always helps. We'll do this for the next few moments. now finally, that's a lot of loving kindness we've generated for our benefactor, for ourselves. And now we can just do this practice for all beings in all directions, all sentient beings, wherever they may be. May all beings be happy. Or just radiate loving kindness just as far out as you can go. The potential of the heart is limitless. So knowing this, just go as far out as you can go. All beings in all directions. We'll do this to end our meditation. allow your eyes to open. Just take the next moment or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs. If you have a question, comment on your experience of meditation. Question on anything, Buddhism, the instructions. Let me know how you're feeling. One of those are fine. Just a minute. Let's give ourselves a minute to stretch. I think I needed that, you guys. I found myself falling asleep, which is very rare for me. I'm not a fall asleeper in meditation. And it was a good time to kind of practice what I preach, because what I tell everybody who asked me this about falling asleep during the meditation, and it's like, well, you're not being mindful when that's happening. You're letting your kind of body take over and say, no, I don't feel like being mindful. I just want to like kind of dull my senses and go to sleep. And so just to take some deep breaths when that happens. And so I took some deep breaths. Wasn't really dramatic about it, just took some deeper breaths, and that seemed to help. And then a little while later, I was getting sleepy again, and then did the same thing, and that again, that helped. It helped a lot. And so that's kind of what went on with me during the meditation. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it, which I normally do. So again, questions, comments. Travis is waiting.
Jeremy shared, I really needed that too, Alex. Thank you. I fall asleep during evening meditation all the time.
You know, and the really interesting thing is, you know, I've lived here at the temple since the end of November of 2018. And so it's almost 2 years. And then actually I'll be out probably next month. Before then, you know, I lived in one place for 12 years, and I had a ritual, you know, I had a routine every morning before I went to work. I would get up and, you know, shower, because that kind of wakes up the body. And then I would sit down on my mat and my cushion and do my meditation, and then hang out for a little bit, and then do whatever, then go to work. But I always meditated in the morning, and that was always best for me. And for some reason here at the temple, I never meditate in the morning. When I meditate at night. And sometimes it's really late at night, like midnight or 1, even sometimes 2 in the morning. I don't know how I got into the habit of going to bed really late. But I do it really late at night. The good news is that it's really quiet. And it's a little cooler at night, and maybe that's the reason, I don't really know, but it's cooler at night. And but because it's at night, because I'm still tired and I want to go to bed, I have this, you know, these sleeping fits sometimes. Like I get sleepy and drowsy and things like that. So I've really had to again practice what I preach, and like take a deep breath, open your eyes when you need to, and that's okay. It really works. It really works wonders. So thank you, Jeremy, for sharing your experience with me. I get that way too. So I'll ask a question. Maybe I can get some answers. A simple yes or no, if you want to expound on that, that's fine. Was there any part of this meditation that was harder or easier, or at least harder or easier than before? And was doing this practice for yourself any easier or harder than it was before? Or was it easy or hard if you have no other reference? I'm really interested to know that. Again, there's a little chat place for the chat somewhere. For me, when I look at it, it's like below the screen. You can just type in something. Doesn't matter what it is. Well, it doesn't matter what it is.
Marcel shared, thanks, Alex. Felt tingling vibrations going out of me. Positive energy feels good when you share it.
Yeah, right? Absolutely, it certainly does. And again, that's kind of a little bit about what I was talking about at the beginning of, this class, when I was talking about, the benefits of your well-intentioned thoughts, words, and deeds. Right? Or thoughts, words, and actions, however you want to look at that. You realize that they produce positive results. They produce good results. So it's a mind training, because that's what this practice is. It's a mind training. And so the mind goes, that felt really good. A lot better than the norm of these kind of discursive thoughts in my head from things that don't even matter anymore, distracting me or upsetting me. So I'm glad Marcel had that experience. Thank you. Temple Ghost is back. Okay, good. I don't want to spend too long in silence. Normally, I don't have a problem with it if there are people here, but for an online class, it's a little bit different. Did somebody say something?
Yes. Jennifer said that she had a hard time radiating love to herself and had to repeat the phrases when it came to herself.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Good to hear from you. If it's that same Jennifer who gave me the lovely Christmas gift, the lamp for the Christmas gift, thank you so much. So when we do loving kindness for ourselves, I always wonder, for the radiating part, how can I radiate that to myself? I always wonder, how can you just turn it into yours, radiate it, and have it come back into you? Or how does that work? Or do you just imagine your heart getting bigger, like the Grinch, right? Or the Grinch's heart got really, really big and really, really warm, apparently, and you just imagine that. But usually when we do loving kindness for ourselves, usually my instructions are just say the phrases. If I'll have to look and see if there's a better way to do that, like a radiating way for that. But I just say the phrases usually, and I just make it simple as well. I just say one. I just say, may I be happy. May I be happy. And sometimes I'll say some more of them, but especially in times of stress, anxiousness, because, I do deal with anxiety on a pretty regular level. I just say one thing and I repeat it and I repeat it and I repeat it and I repeat it, and I don't think about anything else. I just repeat it. And it helps also, which would really be helpful if you have some mala beads. Right? If you have a mala beads, or if you're not a Buddhist, if you have a rosary, if you're Catholic, same idea, right? Same idea. You just repeat it over and over, and every time you repeat it, you go up a bead. You just move the beads forward one, and then you do the whole mala. And so that's what I do too. And usually the mala beads work really, really, really well. Because for some reason, when I go through the whole necklace, I feel this sense of accomplishment. Yeah, I completed the cycle. And it's like 108 beads, like in the big ones, right? The regular size ones, it's like 108 in there, or beads in there. So you're doing it 108 times each go around, I guess you could say. But if you have like one of the little bracelet ones too, those are awesome too. Those are really useful tips for me. And that's the thing, one of the things that I like about this practice is that there isn't just one way to do it. And there's lots of ways you can do it. If doing it this way works for you, do it that way. If doing it this other way works for you, do it that way. And it's the flexibility of this practice that I think really attracted me to it. Like, no one was ever telling me, you better do it or else something bad is going to happen to you. There's no threats of condemnation or hell or anything like that. We're saying, hey, we know it works. The Buddha know it works. He set out the practice for us, but you need to try it for yourself. You need to do it for yourself and realize these benefits for yourself. And realize that, hey, do these positive, well-intentioned actions lead to positive mind states or not? And which one feels better? And do the one that feels better, which is going to be the positive mind state. So think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And that's the practice. The entire practice can be boiled down to that. Now, I hate that kind of reductionism normally, but for a relative beginner class, that's really a good thing to keep in mind. So thank you, Jennifer. Well, thank you guys. It's okay. You don't have to say anything. It was wonderful to be here with you tonight. It cooled down a lot. That's good. I hope you're doing well in the lockdown stage that we're in. I hope everything is going fine with you, and that you're happy and healthy. If not, my heart goes out to you, and I wish you all well. I love you all. So let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation and this practice be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Thank you, guys. I love you all. We'll see you next time.